Hi everyone! Today I am showing another video with the Art in Bloom stamp set and bundle. This is a big bundle. I did another video with a couple other cards, and I wanted to do another one because I wanted to show how to make this really fun window card. And it's such a fun and pretty stamp set. So I thought, let's do some more. And in case you didn't see the first one, I'm just going to quickly explain. This is a new stamp set from the annual catalog that came out in June, and it has both dies and an embossing folder. And I put this on here so you can see. It's flowers and leaves, and it's really a beautiful little embossing folder, and it's new. It's called a Hybrid Embossing Folder, and what that means is that it both embosses and cuts at the same time. So you can't do that with all of them because you'll start to ruin your embossing folder, but this one is meant to withstand that. So you would just simply put your die in place and cut and emboss at the same time. It's just really a beautiful thing, and the detail on the flowers, it just adds these raised areas with the petals and the centers of the flowers. It's just really pretty. And normally you could then use those flowers that you've cut out, and they're just really pretty. You can use them as is. Here's just a flower that I cut out. I cut it out of this card. You don't see the cutouts, but I thought since I was running it through the embossing folder anyway, I might as well cut out some flowers and use them because nobody can see that I did that, right? And now I have these really cute polished pink flowers that I'm going to use on something else. And I used some sponging so that you could see the detail even more. And then maybe I'll add this little flower center. Or not, I haven't decided what to do with all these little flowers yet. But another thing you can do is use it in a different color, like here. And you've got, it's so hard to see on film, but all of these little petals have raised edges around them and little veins, and it's just really pretty. And I think the person, obviously the person who gets it will see that, and I wish it translated more on video. I'm not sure that you see all that detail. And then this one I didn't use the emboss and cut, I just used the cut. So you can do it both ways, but here I wanted to use that window idea. So I thought we'd make those cards together. If you want to check out my other video, look for that. And in that video we make these two cards. I love watercolor. And then here's some more of that embossing folder. Here I embossed it in vellum. It's lovely. Okay, so anyway, let's go ahead and make these two cards. So this one is I'm going to start with this one. This has the new soft succulent cardstock, and I've got two of them. I've got a base in soft succulent, and then I've also got another extra piece cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and this is what I'm going to emboss. And I don't need to cut and emboss here, and so I'm not going to, but you could, and that would be fun. I'm not going to bother because I don't need green flowers. So here I'm just going to emboss. Now this is what's called a 3D embossing folder. It's a little thicker, so you need to use your platform and the number 4 plate. And here is the look of that. And these leaves are just so pretty. There's some that have little kind of doodly centers and really cute. And you can even run a sponge over this and get even more detail. So I'm going to just lay that down flat, but I want to wrap a ribbon around it first. And I'm going to use the Evening Evergreen ribbon. And then I'm just going to go ahead and lay that down. Okay, and now I want to create my flowers, so I'm going to use shimmery white cardstock. I love the look of shimmery white, and again, this is one of those things I wish that would show up better on the video, but there is, it's a nice textured cardstock, and it has a little bit of shimmer in it, and it's just both sides, and it's just really pretty, and so I like to use it. It just adds another touch to your card. And I pulled out my Stamparatus just because it's kind of a large stamp. And even though this is a nice smooth cardstock, I had this stamp on the Stamparatus because I stamped on watercolor paper, and I like to stamp with the Stamparatus on watercolor paper. But since I already have it on here and this is a large stamp, I'm going to leave it. When you color with blends, you need to use a non-alcohol based base black. So this is Memento ink, because the Stampin' Blends markers are alcohol based. If you use an alcohol base black, the two colors will blend together, and we want those blacks to stay crisp. Okay, so I am going to stamp my flowers. Now see how this one didn't get a good image. I don't know if it's that I don't have enough ink on my pad or what, but that's the nice thing about the Stamparatus is I can do it again, and it'll be lined up perfectly. There. Now sometimes it's just because I didn't stand up. And now it's even darker. So there we go. There's our image. And now I think it's easier to color before cutting out. So I'm going to go ahead and color this image. And for this card, I'm using Petal Pink. And Pale Papaya. I'm using two because I really wanted to get a couple different depths of color here. So I'm going to use my Petal Pink. It's very light, and I'm going to just do a wash kind of over. Did I grab the dark? I did. I meant to grab the light. So that petal is going to be kind of dark. That's okay. That petal is mostly hidden by the ribbon. So I'm just adding a little softness to the petals. I just want a little background of this light kind of at the tips. And I'm not even going all the way to the edge. I'm letting this be wispy. Okay. And then I'm going to go in with the dark and add some more towards the centers. And then I grabbed a dark Pale Papaya. It's just a little bit deeper, and I just added some more little veins, and I did the centers. Another good option would be Calypso Coral for the center. Okay, there's my coloring. So now we're going to cut and emboss at the same time. So you're going to grab your embossing folder, and you see how one side has the label on it that says Stampin' Up on it? That's the side that you're going to put the die cut on. So you're going to open that up and lay it down on that side. Now this next part's tricky because obviously you can't see what you're doing. So you have to kind of hold it in place and turn it over and move that image where it needs to go, like so. And then hold it. And then you're going to run it through your cut and emboss machine, just like we did before. Now if you're worried that this is going to shift, you can use a little bit of washi tape. I think I've got it lined up really nicely. Alright, so now you see, I wish you could see it really well, but you can see that this flower has detail. And I think if I turn it, maybe you can see the petals are up, they're pushed up a little bit. See that? And the veins in there and the center is pushed up. It's really pretty. It's a nice effect. And now we're just going to assemble this card really quickly. Now I have put some dimensionals behind the flowers and then put them exactly where they kind of were on the embossing folder. Kind of place them on top of their images here. And I only put a dimensional in the center for now because I want to tuck some leaves underneath, and so I want to have some play. I'm going to move my bow a little bit. It doesn't have to be right on top of that flower. You can kind of play around with them a little bit. Now, here's what I did that's different. On this card, I made sure that this little V area was on that side of the bow, and on this card, I didn't do that. I wasn't thinking forward, I wasn't thinking ahead. So if you wanted, you could move your bow over here. I've got it stuck down pretty tight, so I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm just going to not worry about it because all the little extras I'm putting on top are going to cover these flowers anyway. So I'm going to just move my flowers around. See, I made a boo-boo. But that's okay, because it's fixable. I'm just going to change it up. That one will go over here. And this one is going to come over here. And I think I've covered it up enough to where, and when I put the leaves on there, you'll not notice that that's even supposed to be on top of a flower, right? Because your recipient doesn't know what's under there. And I've already die cut some of these leaves. I want to point out that Stampin' Up! Gave us some leaves that are outlines in case you wanted to use the stamped leaves. And they also gave us some detail leaves, and I'm going to use the detail ones for this. Alright, so I already cut these out. And I'm just going to tuck them behind . This one's a little different than my original, so where they go is going to be a little different. I need a vellum one over there. Okay, what do I think over here? Oh, that's good. Put another vellum. I think I will, just so it's not 2, 2, and 2. I think I'm going to mix it up by putting 3 leaves on this one, just so it's not quite so symmetrical. There. Okay. So I've got that going on, and then I want to put a greeting of some kind. And there's a few in this stamp set, which is nice. I think I'm going to grab the Dear Friend again, because I need some just kind of basic. And I want to show you how to kind of use this long die that came with it and make it shorter. So the Dear Friend, let me grab that. Or is it already out? It's already out on my desk somewhere. Look at that, I put it away in my black folder with the stamp still on it. That is kind of the tricky part about the photopolymers, I must say. You can lose them. Alright, so I'm going to stamp my dear friend. And then I want to show you how to cut out and make it work for you, even though this is really long and I don't want that really long sentiment. I want it to be shorter, so I'm going to move this and bring in my machine here. Now this time we're just die cutting. We don't have a folder, so we don't need this plate. We're going to stick with our base plate, and then we're going to put the riser in. This goes with the dies, and then one clear cutting plate. Mine are, I really need to get new cutting plates. And I have to say, when I do stamp camps, I try to keep them nice and, I like to use them until they're totally dead. I don't know, that's me. This one might be there. We might be at the totally dead. But it keeps working, so I just don't bother. And I haven't started up again with my in-person events. Hopefully, I will very soon. Alright, so we're going to tape this down and run it through. So you need a top plate. And now you're just going to move it over. So pop that out, see where you want it to go, and then kind of look at the back. Make sure it's really within those grooves, because you don't want a wonky back here, wonky cut. You want it to be nice and straight. And you're going to run it through again. And now I have a smaller little die cut. Isn't that nice? And I'm going to stick that right in the center to kind of cover up this hollow area. Like so. And then I wanted to add just a little bit of bling, so I found some nice, I lost them, little accents, and they are called Genial Gems, and they have a little bit of a hue to them in both kind of a petal pink, or you can go with the green, and I went with the kind of green, subtle green, but it has a little bit of gold flecks, which add to some pretty sparkle. I try really hard to just be random when I put these down. I sometimes think if you overthink it, it shows, but it's hard to be random. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it. I'm going with my random. All right, so there are my little gems. Okay, and then I'll do an inside on the next card so you can see, and then I'll just make a bunch extra and slip them in there just so that the video is not too long. We won't do insides on all of them. Okay, here's the next one. This is the window card, and I want to show you some tips on how to make this a strong window card, and because it can get flimsy in the middle, and it's just kind of an interesting little card. So how I did that, I have two card bases in Evening Evergreen, and you can see that they're both full. Now I'm going to layer them. So if you want to do something to eliminate some waste, you can cut this smaller, you know, and then just layer it like that. I'm kind of giving myself permission to use the whole piece. I don't know, it just makes it strong, and I'm trying to be simple. These days, I don't know, I'm just pushing the easy button. Okay, so you're going to, let me do my cutting first. It'll be easier before I put that down. Sorry if you've already followed along. All right, so I'm going to cut and emboss at the same time again. So you need to look for the side that has the logo. Place your die. Now here, we want to cut while it's still a full card here. So you want to turn it over and just see where you're at. I'm cutting the wrong side. There we go. Alright, and I'm going to try to make it nice and straight. And where your card fold is, try to line that up with the edge of your die. And close it. And then again, we're using that embossing plate. So we need the base and the number 4. Now these plates come with Stampin' Up's Stamp Cut and Emboss machine. If you have the old style Big Shot, there were some, you can play around with the plates and get it figured out too, and still do this. This is not, you just have to kind of play around with which plates work with the 3D embossing folder. Run that through. Now I've got these flowers. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with. Kind of got a little growing collection of these. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Maybe some sort of Andy Warhol bold flower thing. I don't know. You tell me. Okay, so I've got this, and then this piece I put the adhesive on is going to go here. So you're going to line these two on top of each other. Okay, so now you've kind of got this tri-fold thing going on, like so. Now, because they are both card bases and they're exactly the same size, you could get a buckle because, I mean, it's exactly the same. So sometimes if you just trim a little hair off of here, I mean like a smidgen, it's going to really help it lay flatter. So I'm going to do that. I mean, just a hair. It's pretty, I meant to even go skinnier than that, but this is fine. Okay, so that way when you fold it in, it lays nice and flat because it's not too tucked up against that one. Okay, that is your base. And now you're just going to embellish from here. So what I did is I needed to make some more of those flowers, so I'm using another scrap of my shimmery white again. Can't help myself. This time, let me clean this. I want to emboss just to make it even prettier. So I'm going to clean my stamp. Chamois comes in handy for this, because you can get it right up here on your stamparatus. I'm going to test to see if I did a good job cleaning. Turn that over. It's still a little wet, but I think I did a good job cleaning. Okay. So I want to emboss, so I need to stamp with Versamark, which is a sticky stamp that'll hold the embossing powder. All right, and then we're going to press. Okay, I guess I didn't do a good job cleaning, did I? That's okay, the gold embossing powder will cover that. kind of trying to rush myself because demonstrators get to view the holiday catalog at 2 o'clock. So I really know that the rest of the day I'm going to be chatting with some of my team members about this catalog, and my day will be full. I lucked out too because 2 of my kids are going to be gone tonight, so I can not worry so much about dinner. And my husband's going to be gone with them, so I can make a quick dinner. Alright, there is my flowers. And I'm going to heat this up. Now when I do my videos, I tend to fast forward during the heating and I turn the volume off. So that's what's going on. Your computer has not done something weird. It's me. It's just really loud because I'm holding this right next to the microphone. Okay, so we've got our flowers, and then I'm going to once again color them, and I'll fast forward during the coloring this time because it's the same as the last time. Alright, now this time I am not going to emboss, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut them like this. I don't have to go out and get the folder and line it up because the embossing already has raised areas, and so adding the textured embossing doesn't really add much. And then I'm also at the same time going to go ahead and cut out my greeting, so I will stamp that. Long enough? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out and my flowers, and I will be right back. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and assemble our card. So I want the flowers to go exactly where the holes are. Now one thing I want to point out, this little area here is kind of delicate. And that's why I've built this area here to kind of give it structure. This bridge kind of helps keep everything locked down and keeps people from maybe necessarily touching there. And so that is what that little bridge kind of accomplishes. But we do need to get our flowers placed first. So I placed them with glue dots, and the reason why I did that is because I wanted to be able to play with them a little bit, and also because when you emboss sometimes things curve a little bit, and so I wanted to make sure that I got these stuck down the way I wanted. So, and then I can add more adhesive afterwards. So this kind of lets me play. Now the liquid adhesive is good for this as well because you can kind of jiggle a little bit. But that stuff sticks. I mean, it's really good. It's a good adhesive. So if you get it in an area where you wanted to place a leaf, you're not going to be able to place that leaf. So I'm going to do it this way for now. If I need to add some adhesive, I will. Okay, make sure you get it exactly in the spot. Okay. And then I want to put a bow of some sort here, and I'm going to go ahead and use this pale papaya. I'm on my second roll of this pale papaya. I think it's really pretty with petal pink and pale papaya, and it's just a really soft color, and I really like it. So I've been using this ribbon a lot. So I'm going to stick this down with a glue dot. But then I'm also going to put a glue dot on top of the bow. So I'm kind of tilting it slightly because then our greeting is going to go across them like this. Now here's where you need to be careful. You want to make sure that, I'm going to put a glue dot there, you don't add any adhesive where the flower is at because you have to be able to open it. So I placed it down and then I grabbed a dimensional. This side's easy, you got plenty of room. Okay. But this side, you have less space. So here you're going to either cut one of your dimensionals in half or use the edge of your dimensional sheet, or we have those nice little mini dimensionals, like so. But again, you want to make sure you're not placing it on the flower. So place it on the evening evergreen plate piece and then stick it down, and that way you know your flowers can open. Okay, and then here you're going to want to decorate the inside. If you want to add some more to the outside, you can add something coming out of here, a leaf or something. Or let's go to the inside. Now, I could have stamped ahead of time maybe some of the flowers or the leaves behind, and I thought about it and forgot. So you could do that. I'm going to add some of these leaves, which I pre-cut out in, this is soft succulent, and you can kind of stick these around. And you know how I told you I was keeping my flowers only adhered in a few spots? That's because I like to tuck things under. So I've got a couple of the soft succulent leaves that I have left over. I even have some of this gold left over. So let's add that. I have a vellum left over too. Be careful not to go above the base here because I want my card to be able to open and close. Now do I want to add another one? Maybe one more. There we go. So I've got some detail on the inside, and then we're going to do further detail on the middle. So for this one, I'm going to put down a piece of basic white so that I have a place that I can write a greeting. You have this other surface as well too, so you can actually write quite a lot, or you can decorate the third panel if you wanted to. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to. So for the inside, I have a piece of basic white, and I only want to stamp one flower. So I can leave it on my stamp apparatus, or I can pull it off. I'm going to pull it off. And put it on a block, because that's easier for me. And here I'm going to grab a Post-it note and just kind of block off the parts I don't want to stamp. I only want one of these flowers, and if I could use my marker and stamp it, but I decided to not because I want to ink, I want to color with my blends. So then I need a memento pad. So I'm only inking up the one flower. Make sure to pull off your Post-it note. So then I've got my flower just in the bottom corner. It's kind of a sweet little flower, isn't it? All right, and then I'm just going to color that. All right, and that's going to go on the inside. Now on this one, I put a little bling. You could do that as well. It's from the same die set, that same Art in Bloom dies. They're called Bloom dies, I believe. And so you can add some of those if you want. If you want to stick with all that gold, that's pretty. Oops, I just shook it onto the floor. There it is. And there we go. There is our window card. So I hope that you'll check out the Art in Bloom bundle. It's a really pretty stamp and die and embossing folder. You can use that embossing folder all by itself. You can use the dies. Really pretty. I hope that you liked my video. Thanks so much for watching, and please come back again. Bye.